Hello everyone and welcome to today's race. We are here at Atlanta taking out the Porsche 963 GTP. I'm hoping to use this car against everyone's go-to, the Cadillac that has been plaguing the service for the past couple of weeks. And we've got quite a good fight ahead of us as well. We have the likes of Marcus Soholm, a 9K driver in our 3K strength of field race. So it's going to be a tough one for us today, but we are at least starting strong in P3 here. But we have got a lot of good drivers around us. You can see their IRs are all much higher than mine, not helped by the fact I've been driving the GT3s at Le Mans the past week, which has certainly taken a toll on everything. Now I'm watching Marcus for the go here. The pace car's peeled off and he is already underway, not waiting here at all. Pedro's managed to get a good start as well, and we have Blinky Pablo behind us in that BMW, going to be keeping us company on this opening lap here. Just starting off nice and easy into turn one. The Porsche is actually quite good on the cold tyres, so I'm going to use that to my advantage here. As you can see, we are right up behind Pedro already, but I'm still having to be very careful here not to overdrive the car. I definitely don't want to go into the back of Pedro either, so really having to try and manage it here and see if I can get an opportunity. We're right up behind his wing now as we're coming down towards the dog leg that leads on towards the back straight, but I'm going to back off a little bit here. However, I get a little bit of an inkling to the inside, but I don't decide to take it here. Pedro does respect it, however, and he takes a wider line. I'm a bit too tight on that myself, so I don't get the best of exits, but we are still right in behind Pedro. We have Pablo blinking away behind us here. Put me off a little bit, and I'm going to have to keep in mind that there could be some shenanigans as he's coming up behind us whilst he's blinking, so I'm just going to defend by attacking and trying to follow Pedro through on that inside line. There's a little bit of contact with Pablo, but it's nothing too serious. However, as we come over the crest of the hill on the cold tyres, Pablo has turned around. There's a lot of smoke there as he's blinking in and out. We'll have to have a look and see if there's been any contact with him there. And we did a good little move here trying to defend by staying behind Pedro, following him through on that line there. Pablo's blinking did at least show that he was sort of following the outside line there. And however, the cold tyres were just too much for him as he came over the crest there. Normally you have to have a big lift on the opening lap, and it looks like he did not respect that. But we're going to continue straight into lap 2, still following Pedro now as the tyres are starting to come towards me here. You can see on the Delta bar we are already running much faster than we were on that first lap. And Pedro still seems to be struggling a little bit here. However, Marcus is completely checked out in front of us now, so this is going to be a full-on fight for P2 if I can keep up with Pedro. But we're definitely both still struggling on the cold tyres, both running very wide over those bumpy curbs, which can definitely still spin you around even in the GTPs. Now coming down into the dogleg, this is definitely my weakest section here. I'm going to come very close to running wide onto the grass here, and that's going to give me a very poor exit onto this back straight, so you can see that Pedro starts pulling a big gap to us here, which means we are going to be in for a long fight by the looks of it. And speaking of fights, there was a good one going on for P4 behind us. This was on the same lap coming down into the chicane. P5 makes a nice little move down on the inside and is able to make it stick. Looks like P4 wasn't fighting that one too hard. Now we skip forward a few laps onto lap 4 here, and we're coming into the dogleg, which was still my weakest point, but I was at least managing to just about keep up with Pedro, at least until this mistake happens. I clip a wheel onto the grass and we just about save the car. However, that's going to cost us a lot of time, as we're going to see here. There's just that little bit of the tyre tracing the edge of the grass there, but that was enough to almost send us fully sideways. And that's going to cost us not one position, but a second, as this second Cadillac comes up right behind us. And potentially a third as we see more cars just behind us in the distance. So we're now on board with Jacope, the third Cadillac in that stack, who is looking to see if he can make up the position on us. I've got to quickly use the slipstream of that second Cadillac that was in front and hope that the hybrid system of the Porsche is going to get us up to speed before we get towards the chicane. Jacope does have a little look to the side, just seeing if I'm still off canter from that excursion, but I'm able to still maintain my pace around here, which is going to help us in mitigating some of the damage from going off there. However, I'm going to have to act really quick if I want to catch back up to Pedro and resume our battle for P2. We do have the laps available to us, but I've still got to act quickly here, so I'm going to get to work straight away evaluating how Christian is handling that Cadillac ahead of us and see if I can get any sort of opportunity by putting the pressure on him. And I'm going to have to make sure I do this in one clean move here. I can't allow the battle to prolong and let Ethan start running away from us here, otherwise there's not going to be any chance of even getting past him and getting towards Pedro. So as we pull up really close behind Christian ahead of us, coming through that left hand corner, I'm going to show my nose and see how he reacts. He's not going to defend it, so I'm going to try down the inside, not letting what happened the lap before get to me. and we're just about holding it here to the inside. I do make sure I leave plenty of space by taking a lot of that curb, and we're able to get a good enough exit where we pull ahead of Christian onto the back straight. It was quite a daring move considering what had happened a lap earlier, and I was at least hoping that Christian would respect it. There was that little bit of contact by him, still trying to really get into the corner there and not lose the benefit of the banking that exists. But it was still a clean move, and that has still left Christian right behind us though, coming towards the chicane. And you can see he's actually quite fast with the slipstream in that Cadillac, so I do have to defend on this one. It looks like he's not going to really try for the move here as he does back off onto the outside line. And I'm able to still maintain enough speed here where I'm able to carry it through the corner and stay ahead of him coming out of the chicane onto the main straight, which is going to let me focus on catching up to Ethan, though we still have Christian right behind us. I've still got to make up that 3.5 seconds that Ethan has managed to pull. He's used that little bit of fighting that we did have in order to gain a couple more attempts on us there, but this is still only lap 6. I've got plenty more opportunities. I just need to get my head down and not let Christian distract me from behind. I'm hoping that those cars that are battling behind him might have a chance to catch up and draw him into their battle, which will slow him down. However, you can see he's not being phased at all, managing to keep with us through that whole sector, so he did exceptional as we started to push now and catch up to Ethan ahead of us. We were taking tenths off him each lap, but it was not coming anytime soon. Christian was still hanging in there behind us, and we were even catching up to Pedro, who was only still a few seconds up the road, meaning that if any sort of mistake happened from him, we might still be in with a chance of P2 in this race. So we rejoin on to lap 14, and we are less than a second from Ethan now. Pedro is just 4 seconds up the road too, so we are still very much in with a chance here on these closing laps. Christian has fallen off, unfortunately, so he is now really out of contention unless something major happens, which indeed there is. We've got Pedro off into the wall on our right hand side there. Looks like that might have been serious. We'll have a see here, and indeed he goes too far over that curb, which unsettles the car. He does really well to gather it up before hitting that barrier, so that hopefully limited the damage to him. And that has given us the prime opportunity. Now we are back into P3, and we are now fighting for P2 with Ethan. And it's going to be a real dogfight over these last few laps here, so I'm going to have to give it my all if I want to stand a chance. It's going to be one thing to catch up to someone, but overtaking on Atlanta is very difficult as there's very few opportunities. And that's not going to be helped by my poor exits coming out of the dogleg. You can see Ethan has got a much better exit here, and he's able to start pulling a gap, meaning that I will not be anywhere near him in order to make a move into the chicane, which is the prime overtaking opportunity here. So I'm just going to have to be hopeful I can stick close to him and put the pressure on, really twist it as much as possible here in order to force him into making a mistake, which he has done very little so far. Now coming onto the main straight, we are full pelt all the way on these nice warm tyres now. I'm going to have to be as brave as possible as we come into the first turn, carrying as much speed as possible, using that banking on the inside to get on the power. And then up the hill, get braking a little bit earlier there, try and settle the car over the crest. We've done a much better job there, really closing up on Ethan, who went wide of the apex. The Porsche is able to just about stay on full power down the hill. I get a little bit too much curve on the outside there, which unsettled the car and made me lift coming through that left-hand turn, which has cost us precious temps here. Coming into the dogleg once again, I know Ethan's going to get a good exit, though I am still fighting, trying to get the good exit, going over that inside curb and getting on the power as soon as possible. And you can see Ethan is really pushing it there as well by running wide, almost touching the grass there. It's still not enough. I'm still too far back coming into the chicane once again, and we're running out of time here. I'm going to have to really push on what might be the last lap here. Coming close, under braking, being brave as possible, pushing my tyres to their limit, so I do hesitate a moment seeing that gravel on the track, fearing it might unsettle the car. However, we are still able to keep right up behind Ethan coming on to lap 17 here. I've got to try and maximise my opportunities now because I'm much closer than I was on the previous lap. I know I should be quicker than him coming over the top of the hill here. And indeed, we're going to close right up behind Ethan, looking underneath his wing of that Cadillac. He's going to get a slightly better exit, and I've got to try and maximise my speed now coming down the hill and not make the same mistake as I did earlier on that curb. Indeed, I'm much closer this time, but I'm not going to be close enough to make a move coming into the dogleg, much to my dismay. So I'm going to have to try and really get that good exit now. I need it now more than ever in order to make that move into the chicane. I go over the curb and try and get on the power, but I just have so much understeer there from carrying too much speed. I'm a little bit closer this time, but Ethan is still 4 tenths ahead of us. I'm not going to be close enough into the chicane, so I've just got to try and settle back in, and hopefully we have one more lap, as I'm expecting the white flag this time round. I'm going to make a big mistake this time, locking up. I didn't try to send it on him there. I just simply misjudged my braking, expecting I would be able to brake a little bit later on this lighter fuel load. But that still might have cost us as we come across the line on the white flag lap. I might have run out of time. But as we came across the top of the hill here, Ethan made a big mistake like Pedro almost did a lap earlier, and we're able to close right up behind him now. So it's going to be my last chance, my last opportunity I have to attack at this stage. But we get too close and have to really check up there. We actually do touch the back of Ethan coming through that left-hand corner. That's cost us precious tenths and the opportunity again into the dogleg here. I'm going to have to try and really push as much as possible. We finally get that exit. You can see Ethan has a micro lock up there, which does really put us up close behind him, and now we're closer than we have ever been here in the slipstream, and we just got to hope it will be strong enough to pull us up behind him. But it looks like he is confident in the power of the Cadillac. As you can see, he's not defending or weaving anything, trying to break that slipstream, and it looks like he might be correct because I'm just not close enough into the chicane, so I don't want to send it from that far back, and I'm just gonna have to settle in and accept P3. We're at least back where we started after that mistake earlier in the race, and we still managed to have a good battle with Ethan at the end, as we're going to cross the line now in P3, solidifying our position. My condolences to Pedro. He was probably on for a good P2 finish had he not made that mistake, but myself and Ethan had to capitalise when given that opportunity. And I really enjoyed taking the Porsche out today. This car has been absolutely fantastic to drive and is definitely competitive against all the Cadillacs we're seeing at the moment. So I hope everyone else might take the opportunity to try out a different GTP, because you might just find that there is more to life than the Cadillac. And if you did enjoy today's race, please leave a like and subscribe, as that really helps me on the channel. And I hope to see you all again next time.